So, let's talk about Batman and Robin. I want to set the scene for you. It's 1997. I'm 17 years old. The bloom has fallen off the rose as far as Batman movies are concerned for me. I've reached the point in my assessment of them where I don't think any of them have been any good. Batman Forever, when I first saw Batman Forever when I was 15, I thought it was alright. But in the 2 years since then, I have come around to thinking of it as just a really, really bad movie. And that has happened mostly because it came out on home video and I just watched it more. And the more I watched it, the more awful it revealed itself to be. But Batman Forever was a box office success. It actually made more money than Batman Returns, thus justifying the change in direction from Warner Brothers. And even though it kind of sort of seemed like maybe it was gonna suck, I still had reason to be optimistic about Batman and Robin. I mean, after all, Mr. Freeze, come on, Mr. Freeze is a great villain. And in the last 5 years or so, prior to Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze had kind of been reinvented by Batman the Animated Series. One of the few things I will give that show credit for is the Mr. Freeze episode, Heart of Ice, a really, really good episode. And Mr. Freeze was sort of at an all-time high as a Batman villain. People were appreciating him more than they had in many, many years. And a cat just jumped on me.
You want to see the kitty? Yes, your papa's gonna get drunk. Your papa's gonna talk about Batman and Robin and get drunk. What do you think?
What I'm trying to put across to you is that I was not prepared at age 17 for how god-awful Batman and Robin was. And I have healed since then. I've gotten to the point where I can watch the movie, I can enjoy it in an ironic way, I can laugh at it and take some entertainment and some level of appreciation from it. But, man, it's like the worst movie I've ever seen. And I was not prepared for that when I went into the theater to see Batman and Robin when I was 17 years old. It's like you get a call from your mom and she says, hey, by the way, I just wanted to let you know your dad's in the hospital. He had like kind of a cold this morning, you know, probably nothing, but he's going to be here for a couple hours. They're drawing blood. So if you wanted to meet like for lunch or something in the cafeteria, I'll be here at the hospital all night. And you say, okay, sure, Mom, I'll just see you at the hospital. And you show up at the hospital a few hours later and she's like, oh, hey, guess what? Your dad's fucking dead. It's so much worse than you were prepared for. And what's so bad about it? What, as the eternal question goes with movies like this, what went wrong? Well, for starters, Schumacher, as I said in the Batman Forever review, is one of the worst filmmakers ever in the history of anything. He's just absolutely terrible and bad at everything. And his writer, Akiva Goldsman, is the Schumacher of screenwriters. He is just one of the worst, shittiest, most irredeemable writers to ever work in the motion picture industry. He is fucking terrible. He sucks. He's awful. And what I think happened is after Batman Forever was a success, they did their version of Batman, their really big, loud, garish, outlandish, cartoony, completely shallow, one-dimensional version of Batman, and it was a big success. It was a hit. It got decent reviews by most people. It made a shitload of money at the box office, and Schumacher and Goldsman and Warner Brothers backing them up said, hey, this works. Give us another one of those. And they just went totally crazy. They said, oh, Batman Forever had some kind of lame pun-based humor. Let's make sure that Batman and Robin is nothing but that. You know, Batman Forever seemed to rely rather heavily on fluorescent lighting and neon lighting in the color scheme. Let's make sure that there's not a single scene in Batman and Robin that is not bathed in loud, bright, obnoxious neon fucking light. And just everything from Batman Forever was turned all the way up. They took the dial and just maxed it out in every possible way. Batman and Robin is louder than Batman Forever. It's brighter than Batman Forever. It has more explosions than Batman Forever. It has more protracted, pointless action scenes than Batman Forever. I mean, this is a 2-hour film, Batman and Robin. And it's difficult to like something that sits right in front of you for 2 hours and does nothing but scream at you and flash bright lights in your face. Schumacher said at the time that he wanted to make a living comic book. What he really has made with Batman Forever, and especially Batman and Robin, is a grotesque caricature of the stereotype that people who have never read superhero comics have of what superhero comics are like. It's loud and it's bright and it's completely devoid of anything thoughtful or intellectual or insightful or true. It's that stereotype of, superhero comics are just brightly colored fistfights. It's just page after page of people in loud, bright costumes punching each other. That's what superhero comics are. And at their very worst, that is what superhero comics are. But when you have a character like Batman, who was, at the time that these films were made, 60 years old, and had left behind such a treasure trove of source material to pull from. What he really wanted to do, I think, from watching the film, was to channel the 1960s Batman TV series, the Adam West series. The reason why Schumacher failed at that endeavor is that 1960s Batman series is really smart and really, really funny. And Joel Schumacher's Batman movies are really, really stupid and the exact opposite of funny. It's like they watched the Mr. Freeze episodes of the Adam West series, and they saw, ooh, look, they have Mr. Freeze. He makes all these jokes, all these puns about the cold. Let's just have our Mr. Freeze just do that. That's all he'll ever say, is just cold puns. Oh, there are so many cold puns we can have him say. You're never going to put me in the cooler. I'm putting you on ice. Imagine how funny that'll be when Arnold says it. I'm putting you on ice. Cool party. So what else went wrong in the movie besides the direction and the script and everything? The acting. Actually, if I'm going to talk about the acting in Batman and Robin, I think I'm going to need another Jaeger bomb. Okay. It was quite a few years before I could forgive George Clooney for Batman and Robin. And I think it was a little while before he could forgive himself, judging by the mostly good-humored things that he's had to say about it since he became like a big fucking movie star. He says he's the guy who killed Batman, etc., etc. I like George Clooney today. I think he's a good actor and a good human being. But in 1997, circa Batman and Robin, I didn't really care for George Clooney as an actor, and I assumed if he was that bad of an actor that he must be an absolutely horrible human being as well. Turns out I was wrong about both of those, but how was I to know after Batman and Robin? You want to see George Clooney in Batman and Robin? I'll give you a thumbnail of his performance, okay? Watch this. I'm going to take my hat off. Those of you who like freak out whenever I take my hat off, check it out. Here's George Clooney in Batman and Robin. You'll just have to imagine that I don't have the beard and that I'm much more handsome. You got that? The head bob? That's pretty much it. 2 hours of that. Actually, not 2 hours of that, because Batman doesn't have anywhere near that much screen time. Batgirl is in this too. Alicia Silverstone playing a version of Batgirl. Traditionally in the comics, Batgirl is Commissioner Gordon's daughter. But in Batman and Robin, she is Alfred's niece. Because I think the only way that Akiva Goldsman could think of to have her character have any sort of relationship and chemistry with Batman and Robin was just to fucking put her in the exact same house. And there's a perfect excuse to have her interact. That's finely crafted screenwriting right there. Schumacher's idea of a good shot is to get as many neon fluorescent colored things crammed into the frame as possible and then just have everything explode. And then maybe after the explosion, have like a slow motion shot of Batman and Robin like swinging away from it on a chain. Or if that doesn't work, maybe we can have like a suiting up montage that ends with an extreme close-up of Batman's molded rubber ass. Because that's just hilarious. Schumacher just loves that shot. It's hilarious. Oh, look, there's a codpiece. Oh, look, there's Batman's ass. I mean, he was paid millions of dollars to make this movie. He was paid millions of dollars to make this movie. It's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's total dog shit. It should be shown in film classes as an example of what not to do. There should be a film class in a prestigious film school, like a UCLA film school, where you go and the whole class, you get your fucking 3 credits for the semester, and all they do for the whole class is make you watch Batman and Robin. And then at the end of it, the professor turns on the lights and flips up the screen and he says, "Don't do that!" And that's the class. That should be perfect. Batman and Robin is actually, most people don't know this, but Batman and Robin cannot be shown to prisoners of war. It is a violation of international convention. And yet, hard as it is for me to believe, and I know for some other people to believe, Batman and Robin, you know how I said at the very beginning of these series of Batman movie reviews that everybody has their own Batman? For some people, the Schumacher Batman, the Batman of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, that's their Batman. Now, I have to correct myself a little bit because I did say that everyone who gives a shit about Batman has their own Batman. Everybody who has any interest in the character, who has any reason to give it some thought, has their own Batman. So the Schumacher Batman, the Batman of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, is the Batman of choice for people who don't really give a shit about Batman. Like people like my father-in-law, who is a wonderful man and probably one of the smartest people I know, who doesn't give fuck one about Batman. But if he sees something, like if there's a new Batman movie coming out, or if he sees like a Batman movie on TV, he'll watch it. He cares about Batman to the extent of, oh, hey, look, Batman. And he'll watch it, and he watches Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and gets a kick out of it. And you know what? Good for him. I bear the man no ill will. He's always been good to me. And I can forgive him for thinking perhaps that Batman and Robin is not just a bad movie that can be watched and enjoyed for purposes of mockery and ironic condescension, but also might actually be a good movie. With some other people, if it wasn't someone that I respected and loved, I might consider that an unforgivable sin. That's like the Cinemaphiles version of blaspheming the Holy Spirit, to try and argue that Batman and Robin is actually a good movie. But with him, I think I can forgive it. Batman and Robin pretty much killed the Batman film franchise. Batman was dead and buried for almost 10 years. And then he came back when Christopher Nolan successfully revived the Batman franchise with Batman Begins. And that's the next review I'm going to do. But as much as I line up with the general consensus as far as Batman and Robin being a total piece of dog shit, I must warn you, those of you who are a little sensitive about these kind of things, that my opinion of Batman Begins is drastically opposed to the general consensus about that movie. And I'm going to shoot that review right after I'm done shooting this one, and I'm still going to be a little drunk. So I just wanted to let you know that it might get a little ugly.